everyone and welcome to my Loki reading vlog. So for this reading vlog I'm going to be reading all of my Loki comics and telling you what I think about all of the episodes of Loki as they air, and sort of just compiling it into one great big vlog. And I'm going to be doing this from now on with basically all of the new Marvel properties, so this is including all the Disney Plus TV shows and also all of the films, because I just thought it'd be fun to do a bit of a discussion about each of the films and TV shows as they come out, and also vlog as I read all of the comics as well. So this vlog is going to be dedicated to Loki, obviously, because he's actually coming out today and I'm so excited. So what I'm going to do is tell you all of the comics that I'm going to be reading and then tell you exactly how this is going to work. First three comics are going to be the Loki Agents of Asgard series. So this is Loki Trust Me, Loki I Cannot Tell a Lie, and Loki Last Days. I've also got Vote Loki in physical as well, which is upstairs at the moment because I'm going to be specifically reading that comic around the time the episode airs, because obviously I like reading specific comic adaptions when they come into the MCU and things like this, so I'm going to wait for that one. I've then also got in the Kindle format The God Who Fell to Earth, and then also Journey into Mystery volumes 1 through 3, which I'm really excited to read. I've owned them for a while. And then on top of that I've just got a couple of others which I bought recently. The first one is Thor and Loki Blood Brothers, and then also Thor The Trials of Loki. Then on top of that I've then got a couple of possibles. I've got the Infinity Wars, which is the original Infinity War saga, along with Asgardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 and Angela Asgard's Assassin, which is all about Angela, who is actually the sort of lost sister of Asgard, essentially. Now these last three are going to be optional, it depends on how much time I've got, but these ones do include Loki as well, and obviously Infinity Stones, which is a big part of who Loki is. So they are optional, but anything with Loki in the title is definitely getting read. As for how I'm going to do my discussion about each of the episodes, what I'm going to be doing is starting each section where I talk about the episode with a big spoiler warning, and I will be putting timestamps in here as well, so you can just skip over it if you have not seen the episodes yet. And with that, let's just get into it and let's watch episode 1. So I've just watched episode 1 and I love it. I absolutely love it. I can see what people mean by it being slightly clunky, but I really enjoyed that because it was a lot of world building, and there needed to be a lot of world building in terms of the TVA and things like this. I really love seeing more of Loki on the back foot because it's something we're really not used to in that sense. He's always in control, he's always got 8 plans, and he's always 8 steps ahead of people, but this time seeing him on the back foot was really interesting in that sense. I really enjoyed just more Loki in that sense. I'm always here for more Loki, obviously, and just sort of everything that's brought into it I'm really excited for. I love the fact that they've now brought back in the Infinity Stones. I've got to admit that's very interesting to me. I'm very interested to see how that's going to work. Fingers crossed it means that the Infinity Stones are possibly going to be brought back into the MCU and used in certain ways. Maybe Doctor Strange can get back the Time Stone, things like this, who knows. But I'm very excited for the fact that we've now got the Infinity Stones back. I'm hoping as well that we are going to somehow save Loki from Thanos, because quite frankly I'm not over that death, and I'm hoping that I'm not a robot bit was possibly a sort of precursor for maybe Loki building a robot and then sending it to be on the ship and at the beginning of Infinity War, and that's what dies and isn't actually Loki, because I'm still in denial about that moment 3 years on. So fingers crossed something like that happens. But I'm really interested in the world of the TVA. I'm really in love with the show already. I'm loving the fact that we're going to be focusing on a villain Loki and a less villainous Loki as well. I'm really excited to see all of this. I've got tons of theories and I'm so excited, and I'm just loving it so far, and I'm just in love, essentially. I am absolutely in love with this show. I cannot wait to see more of it. But But that does mean I do actually have some work to do, because obviously it means I'm going to have some work to do because I run the Comic Book Sanctum, which is my website dedicated to Marvel Comics where I demystify the comics. So before I can actually read any, I've got to do 2 posts. One is a Loki character profile, because I do a character profile of every single character that turns up. That includes like their comic origins, stuff like this, and then like their best comics to read. And then I'm also going to be doing a blog post about what the TVA is in the comics, because it's a very interesting topic. So I'm going to get on with that, and then probably it's going to be lunchtime, and then I can start tackling these, and I'm so excited. I'm so full of like Loki energy right now. I'm so happy this is back, essentially. So let's get vlogging. Prepare for a fangirl. This is all I'm saying. I'm already fangirling. Just prepare for more fangirl. These vlogs are probably just going to be me fangirling. No regrets. No regrets whatsoever on that front. So I have just finished my first comic, which was Thor and Loki Blood Brothers, and I reasonably enjoyed myself. I've got to admit, this was a lot more sort of mythology based than I'm used to. I'm usually more of the comic versions, like the actual Marvel comic versions, than the Norse mythology versions, but quite frankly it was still a really good time. I did enjoy myself. I did like the Norse mythology side of it, so I'm going to give it about 3 stars. It wasn't my favourite, and the artwork, while stunning, was not my favourite artwork either. That's why I'm going to give it a 3, but it was still enjoyable. So now I have just finished the Trials of Loki as well on my Kindle, and I quite enjoyed this one as well. This one was again more like mythology based than it was like based on like the comics I know, but I did still really enjoy it. I'm not really like that up to date with my Norse mythology. I did read part of Neil Gaiman's Norse mythology, and the rest of it I've picked up just via internet osmosis essentially, so I enjoyed it. But again, it was another 3-star read. Unfortunately this one had a few misogynistic comments in it, which is obviously not the best, but I did enjoy the art style in this one a bit more. But because of the misogyny, it wasn't my favourite though, and because it was still based more on the mythology section, and it didn't really feel like my Thor and Loki. Personally, I'm going to give it 3 stars. And to be honest, that's going to be it for this particular day. I'm about to rewatch the episode with my best friend, and so I will be seeing you next week for the next part of this vlog, which will continue on in a minute, for episode 2. And also the next set of comics, so I'll see you in a week. So I have just finished episode 2 of Loki, and I have a lot of thoughts and a lot of feelings. Like, I've noticed some things, so like the fact that, obviously spoiler warning, I will leave the timestamp here as always, but I've just seen like where those charges were sent. They've gone to Hala, where Captain Marvel's from, Vormir, when Natasha and Gamora died, Asgard, Sakaar, where the Grandmaster is, Ego, which is Star-Lord's father, Titan, where Thanos is from, and Xandar, where the Reality Stone was kept after the Dark World. I'm not okay, because this is going to break everything. I can't wait. I cannot wait to see where this is going to go. And obviously as well, I don't see the reveal of the Loki variant actually being Loki, because if you notice on the foreign language titles, the actress is credited as a character called Sylvie. If she's Sylvie, she's Enchantress. She is a Loki. And you could tell it wasn't Loki anyway, because the hair is blonde and not brown. Well, black, so Sylvie as well, so we're getting Enchantress, or maybe like a mixture between like Enchantress and Loki maybe, or something. But I'm just sitting here, my head is spinning, and I'm trying to think of something to do for like my next blog post, and I'm thinking maybe like all the times Loki has appeared female. Maybe this is the only thing I've got at the moment, because I don't really know what else to do, so I think I'm going to go with that today. And then I'm going to focus on some comics, and I'm thinking I'm going to go for The God Who Fell to Earth, and then maybe start on Fear itself, so I can read Journey into Mystery. because I'm just thinking we may be seeing like maybe an older Loki or maybe a teenage Loki, and if it's teenage Loki I'm going to want to read Agent of Asgard around that time. I don't know. But I'm thinking The God Who Fell to Earth today, and then Journey into Mystery. I'm thinking specifically Fear Itself, the event, because after I've read Fear Itself I can then read Journey into Mystery because it ties in together. That's what I'm thinking. I'm going to look over, but I think that's going to be the ones. Plan. So I'm going to read The God Who Fell to Earth now, and then do my research once I've calmed down a little bit, and then write up the blog post, and then I'll go into Fear Itself. But that was an episode. That was an episode. And also, before I forget, I've also managed to get the Total Film magazine, which has got all the Loki info in it as well. So I may give this a read, or I may leave it for a couple of days, I don't know. But I've also got this to read, but that was an explosive episode, and I'm just like loving it so far. Like, I knew I was going to love it anyway, but like, the fact that we're also now dealing as well with obviously variant Lokis, and the fact that he's breaking apart the multiverse like I wanted him to, but we've also got this sort of Doctor Who vibe. I'm loving the Doctor Who vibe of this, and the Umbrella Academy vibe, because I'm such an Umbrella Academy fan, and obviously I'm a total Whovian, so I'm loving these little references. And also there was a moment where he went particularly Sherlockian. That was weird, because obviously Tom and Benedict are best friends in real life, so it was just a bit like, have you been watching Sherlock recently? Because you went a little bit Sherlockian there, but I loved that in there as well. It was just, oh, it was so good. But I need to calm down now so I can get on with reading and like blogging the hell out of this. So I'm going to get on with that and update you in a minute. But oh my god. So I have just finished my blog post and also my 2 comics that I wanted to read this week. So that was The God Who Fell to Earth and The Fear Itself event, and I really enjoyed both of them. The God Who Fell to Earth I enjoyed a lot more because it was just focusing on Loki, and it was more about like Loki dealing with the fact that he is now the king of Jotunheim, and how he's sort of dealing with the fact that he's had his happy ending and he's not happy with his happy ending, because as we all know, Loki is a contrary little bugger and likes to be sort of entertained, shall we say, being a bit of an idiot and all the rest of it. So I really enjoyed that. I'm really sad that that series was cancelled actually, because it was such a really interesting story, and it really sort of set up a really interesting story. So I wish it had gone on further, but I still really enjoyed it. I especially appreciated this panel here where it actually mentioned Loki's gender fluidity, so it's nice to see that it wasn't just a one-time thing for a little while in like 2008. So I'm really glad that they mentioned it again here. I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed it in general. I love seeing like him interact with Tony and Wolverine as well and things like this. I just wish it had continued further, and I gave it 4 stars. As for Fear Itself, it was a really interesting run. I've got to admit, I really liked sort of exploring more of Asgard and myth and all the rest of it without it being too heavy on the Norse mythology, because sometimes that does lose me. But I really enjoyed this one as well, I've got to admit. It felt very sort of real, in the sense that it was very much battle stations, all hands on deck. It genuinely feels like the Avengers are going to lose. It sort of felt like Endgame in that way, and they actually mentioned Endgame and that they were in the Endgame kind of thing, which I really enjoyed. And we also had that moment where Steve lifts Mjolnir, which was really nice to see, and it just sort of made me happy to see him lift Mjolnir and do the Avengers Assemble bit. It sort of reminded me of Endgame in that way. With this one, my only thing is that at one point it's sort of flashing through news reports, and one bit it says autism cases are on the rise, and I was like, that didn't need to be there, to be honest, because it had absolutely nothing to do with any of what was going on, and it just really didn't need to be there. So I am going to deduct a star for that, because quite frankly that was not really on. But I did really enjoy the art style. I really enjoyed this comic in general, and the exploration of like Norse myth and like destiny and the things Odin has done over the years that are not necessarily good, and I just generally really enjoyed it. And now I cannot wait to read Journey into Mystery as well, so I gave this one 3 stars. It would have been 4 stars if it wasn't for the autism comment, but apart from that, I really enjoyed it. So I've now just finished episode 3 of Loki, and I really like this one. I love that each series has sort of like a comfort episode in the sense that it's more like character focused, and it sort of takes a step back from the plot and really sort of explores these characters. Like with WandaVision, it was like the Halloween episode, I guess you could say. With the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it was the boat building episode, and now episode 3 of Loki on Lamentis 1 is that comfort episode, and I love that. And I also love the fact that we've now got canon bisexual Loki. I love it. I'm still not convinced on the gender fluidity thing, because I'm still not convinced that Sylvie is Loki and a Loki variant. I'm still not entirely convinced of that. I'm still thinking she may actually just be Sylvie the Enchantress, considering the amount of times they use the word enchant and stuff like this. I'm just like, are you actually Enchantress and you're playing everybody? I mean, I know if it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck, but I'm still a bit... I'm iffy on that one, but considering they did say that they are going to confirm the gender fluidity of Loki, I am hoping that we do, like, obviously we are going to get that because they wouldn't have confirmed it otherwise, so I am hoping that, well, I do think she may actually be Loki, but I'm thinking it's more like a sort of combination of Loki and Enchantress, as in Sylvie. But I'm really happy with this episode. I really loved it. I loved hearing more about Frigga and Loki's relationship with him growing up and how he learnt his magic. I loved when he threw the glass down and shouted another. It was so like Thor in the first Thor film. I loved hearing him sing and dance. I loved that, and just sort of seeing this lighter side to him and the more chaotic side to him. I really enjoyed that, and obviously we now have the confirmation that everybody who works at the TVA is a variant. Like, we already knew that was coming. Obviously that was coming, because obviously it was, because like we all called that with Mobius and the jet ski and all the rest of it, so I'm glad that that's now been confirmed. And I really like the fact that we're now on this cliffhanger thing, but I also love the fact that it was just sheer Doctor Who vibes. The whole way through this episode, it was just sheer Doctor Who vibes, and I really love that. But what I'm going to do right now is a character profile for Sylvie, because obviously we don't know much about her right now, and it's probably a good idea to do something about Sylvie, because I'm sure people are wondering just who she is in the comics and who she's based on, so I'm going to do that. Then I may do another blog post, and this time talk about canon bisexual characters in the Marvel comics, now that we've got Loki's confirmation as a bit of a celebration. I don't know, I'll see how I feel, but essentially at the very least it's going to be Sylvie's character profile, and then I'll be reading Loki's Journey into Mystery series, because Journey into Mystery, yeah, it's Journey into Mystery and it's Loki's series, because I read Fear itself last week, and Journey into Mystery ties into that, so that is my plan, and I'm very excited because obviously it's Loki Day, and I get very excited on Loki Day, and the fact we now have canon LGBTQI+ Marvel characters, it's so exciting. Obviously it's so late in the game though, we're 13 years in and we're getting our first prominent like character who's LGBTQI+. It's been far too late. It definitely should have happened 13 years ago when the series started, quite frankly, but at the very least, at least we've got one of the original characters confirmed to be bisexual now, so hopefully this is going to lead the way to more. Obviously we've got Valkyrie who's going to be confirmed bisexual, we've got Phastos in the Eternals who's going to be gay, so we've got a couple coming in, but I'm hoping for more. But I do think this is a good start because it's such a prominent character and such a fan favourite character. I am glad we've now got at least one confirmation, and hopefully it's the start of a whole load of LGBTQI+ Marvel characters coming into the MCU. But for now, Sylvie's character profile. So I've just finished the first Journey into Mystery, and I've got to admit I did quite enjoy it, because obviously we're sort of focusing on Loki throughout obviously what was happening in Fear itself, so we're getting Loki's point of view, which I'm quite enjoying, and sort of seeing him play Hela and Mephisto and everybody else off each other. I really enjoy that. I'm also really enjoying Volstagg in this one. I've never really cared for Volstagg before, I'm not gonna lie, but this one it was really nice to sort of see him interacting with him and sort of seeing Volstagg saying, hey, I have kids, and while I hate you, I don't hate kids. And I quite like that, because obviously in this one Loki is a kid, he is a reincarnated as a child essentially. But I'm really loving seeing this sort of tricksy nature of him, and sort of how he's dealing with everything and all the rest of it. I love seeing Loki's tricksy nature, it's one of my favourite things. So I'm going to continue on with volume 2, which is Fear itself, Fallout. So I've read volume 2 of this, and now I'm on to volume 3, and we're sort of dealing with like the Fear Kings and the Gods of Fear and all the rest of it. One of them's just the most grumpiest old man. It's really amusing me. as he's literally going, in my day you'd cross 5 dimensions uphill both ways through cosmic storms and gather all the fear lords to conquer the world out of a sense of civic duty. And we were fighting a real sorcerer supreme, not some girly haired upstart son of Satan like Hellstrom. Put a shirt on, you hippie. I love it. So I've just finished the Journey into Mystery series, and I've got to admit, I did really enjoy it. I did enjoy sort of seeing this idea of what happens when Loki is reincarnated, and how everybody in Asgard treats him after that, and also what he was scheming and what he was up to during the Fear Itself storyline, and also his guilt over that. I really enjoyed in the third one seeing Hellstrom. I am Hellstrom trash, or at least I really love Hellstrom as a character, so it was really nice to see him and see that team up. I enjoyed seeing him, like Loki interacting with like Thor and Odin and Hela and everybody else, and like how he's dealing with the fact that he's reincarnated and he's a different Loki and all the rest of it, and trying to like wipe the slate clean. And how he's sort of like tricking everybody and going up against like people like Nightmare and things like this to try and sort of make amends for all the things he's done, while also like fixing the things he's just done and stuff like this. I did really enjoy it. I really enjoyed the banter of it as well. I've got to admit, the artwork in a couple of the issues was not my favourite. It sort of jumped about between a couple of art styles, and some of them were not my favourite, but there were also some really gorgeous panels as well. So I'm going to say I'm going to give this like each of these volumes 4 stars. And I have now actually run out of time for today, so what I'm going to do is quickly write up a blog post on bisexual Marvel characters, because A, it's Pride, and B, Loki's just come out, so I'm gonna celebrate and talk about bisexual Marvel characters. And then I'm gonna watch episode 3 again, because why not? And then I will come back next week for episode 4 and do this all over again. So I will see you then. Okay, my camera's still not fixed, so I've got no idea if this is straight or not, whatever, but I have just seen the final episode of Loki, and I'm going to put a spoiler warning here so you can skip it if you haven't seen the episode yet, but oh my god. So much happened. The multiverse is wide open. The multiverse has happened. The multiverse has happened, which is now just killing me, because it now means that literally everything in the MCU is now canon, including like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Agent Carter, which were considered not canon, and the Netflix shows are now canon. Technically the X-Men are now canon, which makes me happy, because I now hope that they somehow, in like the multiverse, somehow bring them in. And that explains where they've been. Same with the Fantastic Four, that I wouldn't mind a whole recast of the Fantastic Four, unless we can somehow bring back Chris Evans as Johnny. But besides the point. But I love all of it. I'm now sitting here galaxy braining about how the X-Men can turn up, because that's just who I am as a human being. I am just obsessed with the X-Men turning up, quite frankly. So now that this has happened, I'm now so like invested in the idea of the X-Men turning up, and just it's just hit me that that could explain Evan Peters' Peter Pietro situation in WandaVision, which is just... my TikTok's going to be filled with theories for the next couple of weeks. I love it. I love it so much. It now explains how What If is happening and so many other things. I really enjoyed the finale. I've got to admit, I would have liked a bit more sort of fight scenes, I guess you could say, and not just talking, but I truly loved it. I loved the reveal of Kang the Conqueror as well, because he was one of my theories. I was expecting it though to be more like King Loki and being behind it all, but Kang the Conqueror makes so much sense. And I love the fact that they didn't actually name him, so then he becomes like more involved, I guess you could say, in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, where he is announced as the main villain. I've got to admit, I was very worried about this actor as playing Kang, because in the stuff I've seen him in before, I wasn't like overly invested in his acting or his characters, but this time he's really nailed it, and I can tell he's going to absolutely nail playing Kang from now on, because he really gave it his all in this one, and it works so well. I really enjoyed his like introduction, even though they never said the name. It's clear who he is, and that's going to be my blog post about who is Kang the Conqueror, so I'm very excited for that. And it's now just made me so excited for Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, because it means with the multiverse broken open, Loki's going to have to go and explain to Stephen what's happened. And that's going to be exciting because I've been desperate for Loki and Stephen to team up for ages. And because Wanda's also going to be in it, I'm so excited to see the three of them team up. I've been wanting it for so long, so now that the likelihood is even more that he's going to be in it. And obviously Hollywood Reporter has also said that Loki's going to be in it now as well. Obviously I don't usually pay that much attention to the Hollywood Reporter or any of the others unless it's like Deadline or it comes from the mouth of Kevin Feige or the actors themselves. I am still so excited, and I'm just sitting here so excited for all of this and what it means for the MCU. I'm so happy that Loki has set up both sagas now in the MCU, because he technically started the Infinity Saga in the sense that, like, he had the Infinity Stones, like the Tesseract, and obviously it was in Captain America, but like Loki brought in Thanos and all the rest of it that way, and now he's broken apart the multiverse, so he's now setting up the second saga of the MCU as well, which I love. I'm so glad he didn't die. I'm so glad he didn't die. But the whole thing with Mobius as well, which just made me really sad. And I'm just like, oh no. But hopefully this means that like the TVA and everything's going to be more in Multiverse Madness now as well. Either way, so excited. So enjoyed this series. So sad it's over. Cannot wait to rewatch it. And now I need to write a blog post on exactly who Kang the Conqueror is. And then I'm actually only going to read 2 of the 5 Loki comics I've got left. What I'm going to do is finish Journey into Mystery, because I suddenly went, wait a minute, What If has at least one episode that's focused on Loki in Asgard. So why don't I leave the Loki Agent of Asgard series for that episode of What If? Because I know I'm going to finish that episode desperate to read more Loki, and I won't have any more Loki. So like, if I read them now, so I'm going to leave Agent of Asgard for then, but apart from that, I am going to be reading Journey into Mystery today, and finishing off that series, and then that's going to be in the end of this vlog, which is really quite sad, because I've so enjoyed filming this vlog. But right then, let's get blogging and let's get onto this, because wow, there is a lot to talk about here, because the multiverse is open. I'm so happy. I'm so happy with the multiverse breaking open. I've been waiting for this since WandaVision, and it's happened at last. I'm so excited for what this means. I'm so excited. I need to calm down, I need to get researching, and I need to get writing, because there's a lot to get through, and then I need to get reading, because it's all gone down. It's just gone down. This is so much fun. Oh god, Loki's made me giddy. I knew it would happen, but Loki has made me seriously giddy. So I've just finished the New Mutants Loki comic Exile, and that was reasonably fun. It was not my favourite by far. It was slightly confusing in places, and the art style was definitely not my favourite, but I've got to admit it was interesting, especially with the idea of Luke and all of the characters sort of, or at least the Asgardians, being made human and thinking that they're human. I did also quite like the commentary as well on sexism and the old time sexism kind of thing, in terms of the Desire and their being bound to people and being used as sort of like concubines and things like this. I did enjoy that sort of element of going, no wait, this is wrong, and people like Danny trying to save them. I did like how they were saved as well, but it was slightly confusing and definitely wasn't my favourite, so I'm going to give it a 3-star. Then the only one I've got left is the Manchester Gods. I do know that there is another one, I think, and I may quickly buy that one as well. I'm not sure yet. So no, it's just Sif after this, so that's fine, because I'm not really all that bothered about the Sif bit, so I'm quite happy with that. I do know that Loki continues on into other stuff, but I'm glad that this is going to be the final one, as long as it doesn't leave it on a cliffhanger. Then I may be in trouble. I don't know. But anyway, on with the Manchester Gods. So I've now just finished the Manchester Gods, and this one I did quite enjoy. My only problem was that it was 3 issues long, and then the final bit was a random Thor story featuring him and Galactus and the Silver Surfer, and it was a bit like, What's this doing here? I've got no idea what it was doing there. But I've got to admit, I did really enjoy the Manchester Gods itself. I did enjoy exploring this idea of like new gods and all the rest of it. It reminded me a lot of American Gods by Neil Gaiman, which I really did enjoy. And I really enjoyed the art style in this one as well. It was definitely back on form again. And it turns out there is one more in here, because I was reading it and going, this isn't wrapping up the story. Turns out there is another one. It's Mighty Thor meets Journey into Mystery, Everything Burns. But that has a 3 set of Thor comics before it. So what I'm going to do is put all of these Thor ones onto my wish list along with that final one, and then read all of them probably around the time Thor comes out, because or maybe during What If, I don't know, but or I may just get bored and decide to read What If and like Thor and everything anyway. But either way, I am not going to be reading Everything Burns now, simply because it ties into Thor stuff that I currently do not own. But in saying that, I did enjoy the Manchester Gods quite a lot, so I gave it 4 stars. And that, as it turns out, is everything I wanted to read, or am going to read, for this Loki reading vlog. Obviously, I still have Agents of Asgard, but as I said earlier this morning, I'm going to be reading that at the time of What If. So that is actually now the end of this. So out of all of the comics I've read, The God Who Fell to Earth is definitely one of my favourites. I really love the idea of the library of stories and everything else, and exploring Loki when he gets everything he's ever wanted. What else did I read? I've literally forgotten because I read so many. I've also really enjoyed the entire Journey into Mystery, I've got to admit. I really liked seeing Kid Loki and how he sort of deals with being on Asgard, and how everybody on Asgard deals with him and things like that. I really enjoyed those ones. Fear itself was also really, really good. Siege, I reasonably enjoyed. It wasn't my favourite, but I did reasonably enjoy it. And to be honest, the only ones I didn't really enjoy was the Trials of Loki and Thor and Loki Blood Brothers. Everything else was absolutely fantastic. So yeah, and even then, Trials of Loki and Blood Brothers, I'd still recommend if you are new to Marvel Comics and Norse mythology in general, and you want a bit of a mixture of both. Those two are still really good. It just wasn't personally for my taste, because I know a fair bit about those stories, to be fair, and the art style wasn't my favourite. But I still really enjoyed them. I've enjoyed every single comic I've read this for Loki so far, and it's just confirmed to me that Loki is one of my all-time favourite characters. I absolutely adore him. I've loved reading all of these comics and loved watching the TV show. I've got to admit, I think I enjoyed WandaVision that little bit more in terms of storyline, in terms of the TV shows, but Loki is still a fantastic TV show. I've enjoyed watching it so much, and like theorising about everything, and just having it break my heart and explore Loki more, and introduce the TVA and set up the multiverse of madness and everything else. I've just thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm really, really sad that it's over, but I cannot wait to rewatch it. Probably next Monday. I'll probably end up rewatching it next Monday, actually, but either way, I've so enjoyed reading all my Loki stuff and just generally having a fun Loki time. So with that, I'm going to leave this video here. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do give me a thumbs up. Comment down below and tell me your favourite Loki comic or your favourite Loki-based book, because I do not have any Loki-based books and I would love some. If you've got any recommendations for that, please leave them down below. I'll also leave a link down below to all my social media if you want to check it out, including to the Comic Book Sanctum, which is my website dedicated to Marvel Comics, where I've been talking for weeks now all about Loki, and have been uploading a blog post every single day throughout the month of July to celebrate 1 year of the Comic Book Sanctum. So please do check that out if you're interested. And if you want to see any more of my videos, please click subscribe here. And over here will be the link to my previous video. But until next time, everyone, bye!